Hey, Roger Martin from Village, Montana. This is a special X22 report. Very interesting that Barr, A.G. Barr, and Durham were both in Italy and checking out Misfit. Very interesting. Here goes.
They're using this now to show the public how are they doing this. The Attorney General Barr, he traveled to Italy days ago to investigate the Obama administration's spying on the Trump campaign. Bill Barr met with British and Italian officials during his European trip to gain evidence on Obama intel officials spying on the Trump campaign. And U.S. Attorney John Durham, who is investigating the origins of the Russian collusion probe, was traveling with Bill Barr in Europe this past week. The two interviewed officials in England and Italy. And you know what else we found out? That Pompeo is in Italy to meet with countries' presidents and prime minister. So what were Bill Barr and John Durham doing in Italy? Well, the trip was likely related to Joseph Mifsud, specifically related to an audio tape deposition that Mifsud gave to Italian police about being a Western intelligence asset who was enlisted by Brennan to run a covert intelligence
Enlisted by Brennan to run a covert operation against Trump.
operation against Trump in 2016. So when Bill Barr showed up in Italy, he had two primary requests. He needed a conference room to meet high-level Italian security agents where he could be sure no one was listening in, and he needed an extra chair for U.S. Attorney John Durham of Connecticut, who would be sitting at his right-hand side. Barr and Durham were especially interested in what the Italian Secret Service knew about Joseph Mifsud. Then Mark Meadows tweeted out the following. One has to wonder why the people who were the loudest in spreading the Russian collusion hoax are now the same people most vehemently opposed to investigating its true origins. Troubling. Why are they opposing this? Because the smear Barr and discredit probe of Russiagate operation tells you he's over the target. And he is. Durham, Barr, Horowitz, Huber, they all have been investigating all of this. What we're seeing now of them traveling around, this is part of the show to get the American people on board on what is going on. And they're going to continually to introduce this information to get everyone on board of what is going on. Paul Sperry tweeted out the following. Corrupt mainstream media labeling the Ukrainian phone call a scandal while writing off the Russian collusion frame-up as a conspiracy theory. Mainstream media also calling Democrats' latest impeachment overreach an investigation, but they decide looking into Biden family corruption as dirt digging. Yeah, they have this the opposite way. You see what they're doing here? What Barr, Durham, and the rest are doing? They're not dirt digging. They're investigating corruption. The impeachment thing is the conspiracy, which they created, which was the Russian collusion and the obstruction. The Ukrainian phone call is not a scandal. They created it to be a scandal, but that fell apart. Now, Trump was giving a press conference today, and he said something to the mainstream media and to the country so everyone could hear. And boy, this really hit the target head on. Take a listen to what Trump said.
Thank you, sir.
What about Mr. Biden? What did you want about Biden? What did you want him to look into on Biden?
Look, Biden and his son are stone cold crooked, and you know it. His son walks out with millions of dollars. The kid knows nothing. You know it, and so do we. Go ahead, ask a question.
And all I have to say to this is boom. Really think about it. Who's on the offensive? Trump is. All these mainstream media reporters, the deep state, the CIA, and all the rest, they're going to start defending all of this. The setup is almost complete. The Patriots are winning on every front. Remember when California passed a law requiring candidates to release their tax returns in order to appear on the 2020 primary ballot? Well, guess what? that's falling apart too. Remember when U.S. District Judge Morrison issued a temporary injunction against a California law? Well, guess what? It's no longer temporary. Judge Morrison released a written opinion and argued the law signed by Governor Gavin Newsom violated the Presidential Qualifications Clause contained in Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution and violated the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause as set forth in the 14th Amendment. England wrote that while he finds California's concerns about seeing a candidate's tax returns legitimate and understandable, it violates the U.S. Constitution. Boom! Another win for Trump. Trump tweeted out the following. I won the right to be presidential candidate in California. In a major court decision handed down yesterday, it was filed against me by the radical left governor of that state to tremendous media hoopla. The victory, all caps, however, was barely covered by the fake news. No surprise. Yes, if you notice, they don't cover things where they lose. They only cover things where they win. So the public doesn't understand what's going on. Both should be covered. But guess what? They don't want to cover that stuff. Now, the House, they are trying to stop Trump from building the wall. They're doing everything they possibly can. The House passed a joint resolution that would overturn Trump's emergency declaration at the southern border, which has allowed him to divert other government spending to his wall. Now, the vote was 236 to 174, and it drew support from 11 Republicans, but it's not enough to overturn an expected veto from the president. Now, the measure is aimed at preventing the diversion of about $3.6 billion for military construction projects toward the construction of the wall. But again, this has failed because Trump can just veto it. But as you can see, they're throwing this at him at every turn. Trump tweeted out the following. Massive sections of the wall are being built at the southern border. It is going up rapidly and built to the highest standards and specifications of the Border Patrol experts. It is actually an amazing structure. Our U.S. military is doing a great job. And what's very interesting is that Pew Research, they put new stats out on the prosecution rate of illegals. And what they said is that when they did an analysis of the Department of Justice records, Pew Research Center revealed that the Trump administration, between October 1st, 2017 and September 30th, 2018, prosecuted more accused immigration lawbreakers than any time since 1998. In fiscal year 2017, federal officials criminal prosecuted less than 60,000 individuals for immigration crimes. Compare that to fiscal year 2018, when nearly 100,000 individuals were prosecuted for immigration crimes, a year-to-year increase of 66%. Think about what he's doing here. He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. And as time goes on, he's doing more and more. As he drains the swamp and removes the blocks, it allows him to do more and more because there's no one stopping him. Now, very interestingly, the House, they went to work on a health care bill. Now, this was not for the American people. This bill was for the illegal immigrants coming in. And Representative Mark Green, he had this rider that he wanted to put on there where it would help veterans to get the same exact care as the illegals. And this is what he said. Last week, 5 of the 7 voted against my motion to recommit. A simple amendment that would ensure illegal aliens don't get our latest medical technology before our veterans. H.R. 3525, the bill they all voted for, would require the Department of Homeland Security to set up an electronic health records system for illegal aliens. The Department of Defense and Department of Veterans Affairs don't have the same technology yet and won't for several more years. He says, let me repeat this. These Democrats voted for healthcare technology to be delivered to illegal aliens within the next 90 days, but our veterans and service members won't get those benefits for years. Think about this for a second. Those individuals that fought for this country, to keep this country free, they don't get the same care of those individuals coming over the border illegally? This is disgusting. This should have never, ever have happened. How is this a benefit to the everyday person living in the U.S.? It isn't. And guess what? Once again, they just expose themselves. Now, North Korea, they're working on additional talks. They're going to have this in Sweden. And these are going to be working level talks. And we're going to see something come out of this. Why? Because Bolton's gone. He was holding everything up. I know Trump had to put him out there. And he put him out there to keep the press very busy. But it was also hurting the peace talks in North Korea. Now, of course, there was a trade-off, and Trump knew this. We all knew this. And he had to ride this out. This is why he wrote letters back and forth to Kim Jong-un, to make sure that he stuck by him. And look, he stuck by him, and guess what's going to happen next? We're going to see something amazing happening. Now, what's very interesting, it seems like Iran's Rouhani is working with Macron. And it looks like they're trying to set up talks between Rouhani and Trump. Now, of course, Rouhani is out there saying, listen, I agree to everything Macron is saying, but the United States needs to drop the sanctions. Now, we know Trump, he's not just going to drop the sanctions. He's going to want certain things from Iran. But I noticed Iran is continually reaching out to Trump. Maybe he's going through Macron. We know that Trump and Macron, they met at, I believe it was the G7 meeting. They talked about Iran there. He also met at the UN. So it might be that something is in play right now where they're trying to get together and they're trying to make this deal. Now, I do believe that certain deals have already been made in the back room, and this is all show. That this is now being presented to the American people. And it looks like Macron might be working with Rouhani on this to move forward with what is going to happen here. Now, we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. But again, we know that Trump is waiting for a phone call. And think about what has been happening here. Every single thing that the deep state has tried, it has failed tremendously. We have Barr, Durham, Pompeo. They're all out in the other countries gathering more information. Believe me, they've been investigating a very long time. This is part of the show. The American people are seeing this. The American people are witnessing this. Trump is calling out Biden, that he's a crook. He's part of the swamp. All of this, the Patriots used to their benefit. They took the deep state plan and they turned it upside down and they used it to get vital information out to the public so they could understand what is coming next. And what is coming next? It's the D class. And guess what? They want the House to have that vote. They want them to vote to show that, listen, everyone is not with you. Impeachment's not going to happen. So this way you can't say, hey, you're releasing the D class. This is a political hit because we're trying to impeach you. If the vote is no impeachment, guess what? The Patriots are going to move forward. Even if the vote says, yes, let's impeach, it's going to fail in the Senate. And they'll still release the D class, but they rather have it where there's no block. And I do believe they're going to get this because guess what's happening? The entire story is falling apart. Every day that passes, the story falls apart a little bit more. And all those people that flipped, well, they're going to be flipping right back because they're not going to want to be involved in this. The Patriots are in control. Enjoy the show. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well.
All right, so there's so much more to all this, and we're only getting a drop in the bucket. Least of all, we don't know what other investors are out there in other countries, in not only Italy and England, Australia, maybe France or other places, or China. Don't know. But you can bet they're getting ready. Durham and AG Barr is getting ready to lower the boom when they come back, and they're back from this Italy, England trip. And you can bet there's other stuff coming out from Horowitz in Utah. Just a matter of when it's coming out. We're starting to see the political commercials with Trump saying it takes a tough man to drain the Washington swamp, and that's what he's trying to do. And so are other white hats working with him. We have to get our house in order. I believe he'll be elected next year, 1st of November, and you're going to see other things happen, major things happen before that year's up. We have over a year to go, almost 13 months, and these next 12 to 13 months are going to be knockouts, one after another, until these people are finally held accountable. And then you're going to have the legal things happen, and the courts go after it. So it's going to take a lot more than 4 years to get the legal stuff done. This is just setting a stage so it can be done. It may take 6, 7, 10, 12, 15 years. And there's a lot of work ahead. Again, this is Roger Martin from Village, Montana. Get involved because our nation needs to be cleaned up. Our legal system needs to be cleaned up. And the elite leaders that are trying to hold these corporate officials, political officials, and media officials and control them as puppets. And this all needs to be stopped. Will it be? Only time will tell. Again, it's Roger Martin from Blake's, Montana. Keep your family close. Keep your close to your faith because you're going to need prayers and faith and diligence to get through the tough times ahead. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.